3 nights now.
Yeah, a bit cold still.
How's it going?
It's cold. Last night was very, very cold. I actually woke up at about 2:30ish and I was just so cold. I had to get out and sort of go off and take advantage of McDonald's 24-hour service, get myself a cup of tea. It was just too cold, despite having got cardboard boxes underneath the sleeping bag, so and getting myself under a tree. So I was quite protected, but it was just miserable.
So after 3 nights now, the sort of places that you've been, you've mentioned, up near the museum. I think you've also mentioned to me about, going to the doctors and going to the train station and stuff like that. How have you found people's reaction to you when you've made it clear that you're rough sleeping?
I think the amazing thing actually is that on the whole people are very generous. So for instance, I went into the Dominican Priory Church yesterday, and there's a young woman there who was praying, and I just sat to one side waiting for her to finish, and then asked her whether she knew whether the church did anything for homeless people, and that led into her actually giving me a £5, and huge generosity. She wanted to take me off and sort me out. There was somebody else that we met yesterday who likewise gave me her email address and wanted to do so much for me. So people are generous.
Do you think it's that random acts of kindness that all kind of add up to make it a little bit easier? Maybe gets everybody through the day.
Yeah.
In your situation that you're
definitely. I mean,
what you're taking on.
And the interesting thing actually was that gift of £5, although I put it into the church collection pot after she had gone, actually then made me go off, and as I was walking down the Granby's Street, I bumped into a guy who was begging, so I took him off and bought him a cup of tea. Maybe that makes somebody else go off and do whatever else. There was a guy begging last night that I went up to him just to ask him where he thought that I ought to sleep last night, and somebody came out of a shop and gave him some sandwiches and a drink while I was talking to him. So people all the time are doing hugely generous things.
When are you finding by talking to people who are full-time doing what you're doing as for your 5 nights as a way of finding out and sort of hopefully we'll use it to inform some of the new service provisions and things that we can move forward, that they tend to gather in the same places and sleep in the same places and all that, so really they're not hard to reach at all, are they? We know where they are.
Not at all. And one of the fascinating things is this group of other people that aren't actually homeless who are also buying into that system of care. So at the soup kitchen or at the Baptist church last night, people who actually do have a home, but for whatever reason don't have the money to buy their own food, or are taking advantage of the system, whatever, who are then turning up and using that as well. So my guess is probably, no statistics to prove this, but my guess is that probably about 80% of the people that I met, either being given sandwiches by the Colville Church or by the Baptist Church last night being given dinner, 80% of them are probably actually homed. They might not necessarily.
And they're just accessing.
They're accessing homeless services. Like, so for instance, at the Dawn Centre, if you are rough sleeping, you get a cooked breakfast. So if you're not really known by them, then you'll say you're rough sleeping, so you get a cooked breakfast rather than just muesli or porridge or whatever. And that's not to deny that those people's lives can be improved, or that they should be helped to flourish. But it's just whether actually enabling them to access homeless services is the best way forward, or whether actually we ought to be targeting them in a different way.
And skewing the figures as well that
absolutely.
people are reporting. Okay.
We just need to look at those figures.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Tim.
Cheers.